All right, before we go ahead and jump into this edition of the 49ers Report mailbag video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the 49ers Report, as we have plenty more videos coming in the next couple of days and weeks. And also, if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified whenever we jump on for our live Q&As, where we take all of these mailbag questions. So again, just hit the bigger subscribe button. We're very, very close to 35,000 subs. And we, of course, are going to have up-to-date coverage, not only on NFL free agency, but also the NFL draft. And we know the NFL draft is going to be absolutely, one, a blast, and two, very, very interesting. So stay tuned for that and hit the notification bell. All right, jump into our first question. Chris Cheez-It says, draft Trey Lance, keep Rosen, Jimmy for Gilmore, or trade. Keep Rosen, Jimmy for Gilmore, draft Gators wide receiver in second round. Wow, Chris has got it all figured out. Jimmy for Gilmore wouldn't happen. Like that trade straight up. You'd have to give them more, like Jimmy, a draft pick to go ahead and get Stephon on Gilmore back. Because remember, trade deadline last year, they wanted a first-round draft pick and a player for Stephon Gilmore, and Garoppolo's worth maybe a third or fourth-round pick at best. So, I mean, if you're high on Trey Lance, and I read an article today that was very high on Trey Lance, so maybe you're the same article. But I think Rosen being a backup is just fine, and so we'll see what happens. But interesting question, a good start. 49ers Nation says, what safety cornerback Niners get in free agency if Richard Sherman is going to leave? Man, there are a bunch of free agent cornerbacks. I did a video on this. I'm trying to remember them right now. There are a bunch of ones that to me would make sense, but what I would do is just re-sign Verrett and draft a cornerback at number 12. Now, to that again, make sure you're, of course, have Trent Williams coming back, because you have to spend that offensive lineman if you can't bring back Trent Williams. But I would say go ahead and draft a cornerback at number 12, whether it's Caleb Farley or J.C. Horn, and pair him with Jason Brett on the outside. Maybe spend your money on like a cheaper interior cornerback, like I don't even know. I can't even think of one right now. Desmond King comes to mind, but there's a list that I did in a video a couple of days ago, so check that one out. 211NC Dorado says, how are teams re-signing players with deals $10 and $40 million? Will those teams have less than millions or even in the negative? Well, so what you're thinking of right now is like the Saints. They went ahead and re-signed one of their safeties, and they're in like cap hell, because you can manipulate the cap in terms of manipulating contracts. So you can backload contracts and still give someone a ton of money. You just don't pay them right up front, where you pay them in signing bonuses. So just because a team is over the cap right now does not mean that they cannot spend any money, because the expectation is they're going to go ahead and cut enough people by the start of the new league year. So they can sign somebody right now, but it becomes official until March 17th. And between now and March 17th, they can go ahead and cut some people as well. And so that's going to be very, very interesting, but that's why teams are able to do that. You're probably thinking of the Saints, though. The Saints are really good at manipulating the cap, but they do all the time. So Mary Poppins, never seen that movie all the way through. Fun fact, says, sign Kenny Golladay. The Lions didn't tag him. Well, listen, first off, you're right. Kenny Golladay is going to go ahead and be a free agent. And the question really is going to become, is he going to follow Matthew Stafford to LA? It's been the report and the rumor that I have heard. But if the Rams can afford him, and that's a very real possibility, I wouldn't hate this. This is the guy who's 6'4", 214, and fits the mold the 49ers need right now, a wide receiver. What is that mold? Someone who's a jump ball, a guy who can go ahead and go over the top of a defense from a physical size perspective, because Debo is quick and fast, but not that tall. And the same thing goes for Brandon Ayuk, who's not that short, but he's still not a 6'4" guy. So I'm all for Kenny Golladay, and he comes into the free agent that you can sign if you don't spend the money on Trent Williams, whether you want to or not. I'm just saying, he's going to be expensive, and a lot of teams are going to be interested, and he's probably going to be one of the top wide receiver free agents in free agency. And so I don't hate the idea. It's a matter of, can you afford him, and does he want to be a San Francisco 49er? Now, what did you guys think? Let's hear it. Name a free agent wide receiver you guys want the 49ers to go ahead and sign. If you pin comment down below, let me know who that is. Not even a free agent wide receiver, just a free agent you guys want the 49ers to go ahead and sign. Let me know who that is down below right now in the pin comment. All right, let's move on here to the next question. Ryan McDonald says, trade McGlinchey and DeForest, the Colts for DeForest Buckner. Man, I wish, right? But there's no way. The Colts love DeForest Buckner, and the Colts are not letting go of DeForest Buckner. And honestly, I mean, I still think the 49ers did well in that trade, because Kinlaw's going to be very good, but Buckner balled out last year. And so, unfortunately, the Colts don't need a right tackle, and they really don't need a pass rusher either. And they wouldn't want DeForest anyway. So I would like to, Ryan, but there's just no way it wouldn't happen. Bay Area B says, sign Mitchell Schwartz and let Trent Williams walk. That's tough. So Schwartz, of course, was just, released by the Chiefs today. Brother of Jeff Schwartz, who, of course, is on Twitter and stuff. I met Jeff Schwartz once. He's a really nice guy. I met him before he became famous on social media, by the way, at Carolina Panther training camp. I digress. Either way, Schwartz is a good tackle, but an old tackle. That's one of the reasons why the Chiefs went ahead and let him go. He's dealt with injuries a lot over the past couple of years. Someone will sign him. I'd much rather have Trent Williams. Let's just say that. I would much rather go ahead and have Trent Williams. But Schwartz is going to be highly sought after, because there aren't a lot tackles coming up here in free agency. 49ers Nation says, you think this trade is realistic? We'll trade with trading Jimmy Garoppolo back to the Patriots, sending 3 first-round picks and a second-round pick and arms to the Texans. 49ers get Deshaun Watson. I think it is realistic because let's see, you have Garoppolo to the Pats. That'd probably net you like a 4th or a 5th. It's not going to give you a lot. And then, of course, 3 first-round draft picks, a second, and Armstead. Gets past the 3 first-round draft pick limit and gets you a player. Texans want that. That would work. Now, the question is that something you want to do? Apparently it is because you went ahead and asked it. I wouldn't hate it. And I don't hate it because it's Armstead and not Bosa or Fred Warner. And that's important. I'd like to keep that second-round draft pick, though. But that's probably going to go ahead and take the trade for Deshaun Watson. So at least you're in the ballpark of a realistic trade, and so I appreciate that. R&B Bros has a question here. Let's see what it says. Should the 49ers sign Malcom Butler if he is willing to take a pay cut to win? I don't think he needs that much of a pay cut. I don't think he was that good with the Titans. He was Titan last year, I think, right? I don't think he was that good with the Titans. Wouldn't be a big pay cut. I'd be interested, but again, he's aging a little bit. Like he's not the young not the young cornerback that he once was, or at least was when he had the Super Bowl winning interception against Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks. Shout out to Malcom Butler for doing that. I'd be interested, but I think it's going to be too expensive. Now, Trask fan account. Oh boy, what would you be open to trading down in the NFL draft? That's an interesting question. Yes, it would depend on what it would go ahead and cost, right? I mean, that's really the question here in terms of what you're going to get back in return. If you're going to get another first-round draft pick and move back 5 spots, sure. I don't want to go back into the mid-20s, though. That's a little bit too much for me. However, I will say this. If you're curious about what the latest mock draft I did here on Chat Sports is, well, here's a thumbnail for you right here. And look at that. Actually, Kyle Trask is in the thumbnail. So, Kyle Trask fan account, you will be happy with this one. I'm not that pleased with this mock. I don't think this is what's going to happen, but it's a scenario where if they wanted to take a quarterback in the second round, here's a mock draft for you. So go ahead and check that one out. It's live right now. It's up there on our main Chat Sports, on the main 49ers Report YouTube channel. So it's right here. And while you're at it, make sure you guys are subscribed, as we are very, very close to 33,000 subscribers. So go ahead and hit that big red subscribe button down below and help us out for plenty more mock drafts and live Q&As and everything you guys enjoy here, of course, on the channel. Hit the red subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well. Here, Austin said 49ers be interested in retraining 90 with wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. They could, and Sanders wasn't bad last year. Had like 5 touchdown passes from Drew Brees, and of course also Taysom Hill whenever they were in there. I would see Sanders more returning to the Jets than being with Robert Saleh, because he, of course, was with Robert Saleh 2 years ago when Saleh was the defensive coordinator and Sanders was on the offense, and the Jets have a lot more money. So, as I'm going to keep saying, if you re-sign Trent Williams, you can't afford Emmanuel Sanders. If you don't re-sign Trent Williams, then, technically you could. I'm out. I'd rather draft a wide receiver than take Emmanuel Sanders, because Sanders is a little bit old and, to me, doesn't fit that well in the offensive scheme and the wide receiver depth chart, because you already have Debo and Brandon Ayuk. No GQ Penna says, can we please sign Clowntown? He is the missing piece in the D-line. Jadeveon Clowney? Really? I mean, is he the missing piece? So apparently he's healthy, and that's important because he was not healthy last year with the Tennessee Titans. He is 100% healthy. Some team's going to get him, and I'm sure he's going to be fine. Too big of a risk for me. I mean, the guy gets injured like all the time. Like, he is so injured. Absolutely ruined his career in terms of how great he could have been. Thoughts on signing Azeez Ojulari? Well, I can say that name because I live in Georgia and cover the Georgia Bulldogs at a different job. He's good. He's very good. Now, if you wanted to trade back in the draft, as you asked me a couple of questions ago, Ojulari makes sense in like the 20s. Now, he's not a 15, in my opinion, a top 15, a top 20 pick. I think he's kind of the late first round, early second round type of player, but he has a high motor and has a lot of raw talent. And he loved him at Georgia. He was a great pass rusher for the Dogs. So I'd be interested, but I would not take him at number 12. It's way too high to go ahead and take him. Let's see. Next question here comes from Triple DTX. Says, low defensive free agents leaving. You think there will be better than last year with everybody back healthy and with new replacements? Yeah, I think so. I'm like, look, you're losing guys. You're not losing like super important guys, right? So if you figure out cornerback and you re-sign Jason Barrett, like we keep assuming they're going to, then you're fine there. You draft a cornerback and that works out. In terms of the defensive line, you lose Kerry Hyder, yeah, which is a tough blow. You get Nick Bosa back. And it's like, I'd rather have Nick Bosa than Kerry Hyder. And of course, that's what every 49er fan would go ahead and say. So I don't think it'd be much worse. I mean, the defense has all the talent in the world in terms of it on a linebacker and a defensive tackle and, of course, a pass rusher from one perspective with Nick Bosa. So really, it's just a secondary, and I expect them to address the secondary in some way, whether it's re-sign people or not. I don't know. But, yeah, I think that they'll be okay. Anthony says, I think we really need a quarterback. Oh, man, it's $1 million question, dude. Like, I don't know. So here's the deal. I like Jimmy G, and I've defended Jimmy G. I think he's fine. But I would like Deshaun Watson, and I wouldn't mind drafting Justin Fields. Like, these are all things I'm okay with. But I think in the end, they're probably going to stick with Jimmy Garoppolo. I will say this. If you can trade Garoppolo to the Patriots, I'd be very, very excited about that just because you get return for Garoppolo and they can still go ahead and spend your first-round draft pick on a quarterback. So I don't think we need one. You can win with Garoppolo, and that's been proven. But I wouldn't hate drafting one. I know it's not the answer you guys want, but it's just tough to just it's tough to look at a guy like Deshaun Watson and not think, oh my goodness, well, he's so fantastic, but he's just expensive. That's the problem. But I think either way, that whatever quarterback is in there, the 49ers can make the playoffs. And I think you guys would agree with that, right? Like, you think the 49ers can make the playoffs in 2021, regardless of who the quarterback is. Type wide and below for yes, type N down below for no, as I just feel confident. I mean, everywhere else, we talked about this, they have needs, and they got to figure out left tackle and maybe Mike McGlinchey, and they got to throw a cornerback and maybe another pass rusher. But overall, the team is sitting really, really pretty, and so I would type Y for sure down below. It's Flame says, we trade spots with the Broncos and draft Patrick Surtain. The Broncos are sitting at number what? 9 or are they 11? They're 9. Okay. I mean, I would think about that, but I don't know if Denver might want Patrick Surtain. I mean, they lost AJ Bouye in free agency, and they're looking at potentially drafting a cornerback right there. So I wouldn't mind it, but you got to remember, going from 11 to 9 is expensive. It probably costs you your next year's first-round draft pick. So I'd rather just sit at 11, 2 spots back, and take Farley if Farley's available, the other cornerback. We got a super chat here. See what Tommy has to say. Great name. He says, how much would you pay for Trent Williams? Well, I'd like to pay $15 million a year, but that's way too low. He wouldn't take it. So I would like that, but it looks like it's going to be 18 to 20. I mean, everything I've read is $18 to $20 million a year for Trent Williams, which, again, he's a Hall of Famer, and he's going to be one of the best left tackles in my generation in terms of my lifetime. I'm 24 years old. He's really, really good. It's just a lot. So I'd like him to take 15 or 16. That'd be a lot more easy to swallow, but the odds of that happening are very slim. So it doesn't matter how much I would want to go ahead and pay him. All it matters is, of course, the 49ers want to go ahead and pay him that. Now, of course, super chat. So any other super chats you guys want to go ahead and get on the show, just use the super chat. And like the stuff from Tommy here, the second he put it on the chat, we went ahead and pulled it up. So super chat right to the top. Goated says, trade Jimmy G to the pass for Stephon Gilmore. That was asked earlier. Again, you can, but you'd have to give something else to go to get Gilmore in return. Like in terms of who's a better player, Gilmore, of course, the Pro Bowl cornerback, Jimmy Garoppolo. I know he's been to a Pro Bowl, but he's not like really a Pro Bowl cornerback or a quarterback. So you could, but it wouldn't be straight up. They wouldn't do it straight up at all. You have to give probably like a 4th or a 5th or maybe a 6th-round draft pick with that to go ahead and get a guy like Stephon Gilmore in return. Roddy Cow says take Eric Fisher. Fisher is going through Achilles? I think it's an Achilles injury. So might not even be ready for the start of the year. Remember, Achilles is like 12 months. I mean, it's a long time. You can get it down to 9 or 8. I know some other people like Brandon Brooks for the Eagles did it in like 8 or 9 months, but it's tough to do. So Fisher might not be available, and that is obviously a massive, massive problem. So do with that as you will, because again, I like Eric Fisher, and he's one of the best first-round draft picks in a while that didn't get a lot of love. But at the same time, the injury is going to be too hard to go ahead and overlook.